Hey friends, Carmel Holt here. As you know, times are tough for public radio and audio. And as a tiny independent feminist production company that makes SHEROES for public radio and for this podcast, we're getting hit pretty hard with financial shortfalls. Simultaneously, this is a moment where women, trans folks, non-binary, and queer folks need a safe space to be heard. And at SHEROES, we're more committed than ever before to our mission of turning up the volume of underrepresented voices in music. But to keep going, I need your help. And I have big news. SHEROES has partnered with the nonprofit AIR, the Association of Independents in Radio, and we've launched our very first fundraising campaign. You can text SHEROES to 53555 to make a tax-deductible donation through AIR or visit SHEROESradio.com. Thank you for supporting independent, femme-queer-produced audio and storytelling like the episode that you're about to enjoy. It's up to us whose voices get heard, and with your help, we'll keep turning up the volume.
I feel like women who didn't grow up caring about the male gaze or caring what men thought of them or what their measure was in the eyes of men have a more confident, capable air about them. And I want that for everyone. And I just craved that feeling because I wasted so much time thinking about that. I was programmed to think about it. I was raised to think about it and not raised to think about it. Like, it's just so poison in the water everywhere. And, you know, it's not even a thing men are actually doing to you. It's just this notion that is planted. And so you do it for them. But there was something so singular of purpose and so forceful and formidable and so tender about the way those people that I looked up to would move through the world. And they helped me see myself better, and they helped me know that there was something else out there.
That was Neko Case, and this is SHEROES, a weekly podcast to amplify women, non-binary, and genderqueer voices in music across genres and generations. We believe that sharing our stories is the first step to making music better for everyone. I'm Carmel Holt. I'm happy to say that even though it's been a minute since we've had a new Neko Case album, it's only been a couple of years since we caught up with her on SHEROES. Back in 2023 at Newport Folk Festival, you may recall that Neko told us that she was hard at work on multiple writing projects, including a musical, a book, and new songs, as well as continuing with her Substack, Entering the Lung. She'd also just released a career-spanning double album called Wild Creatures. The last Neko album of new material was 2018's Hell On. And lest we forget about the other band that Neko's a member of, there was also 2 new Pornographer albums in the interim. So while us fans have been without a new proper Neko Case album for a while, we've been fortunate that she's never been too far away for too long. At the start of this year, the first of the 3 projects that she told us about at Newport was revealed. The musical that she'd been working on is an adaptation of the 1991 film Thelma and Louise. Then, at the end of January, The Harder I Fight, The More I Love You, Neko Case's brilliant and moving memoir, was released to critical acclaim, reaching number 5 on the New York Times nonfiction bestsellers list. Then in July, almost exactly 2 years after we had chatted at Newport, we got the joyful news that Neon Gray, Midnight Green, Neko Case's 9th studio album, would be coming this fall. And now, friends, at long last, it's here. And no surprise, it's amazing. I couldn't be more excited to celebrate its arrival by welcoming back Neko Case as this week's Shero in the Spotlight. Welcome back, Neko Case, to SHEROES. I'm so excited to have you. Yay.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back.
Holy shit, we have a new album too.
I know. It only took me 7 years or something stupid like that.
Well, you've been a little busy.
Yeah.
It's not like
you've been going on.
Yeah, it's not like you've been slacking off. I want to congratulate you on your very first fully self-produced record, because that's a big effing deal.
Well, thank you. Like, everything's collaborative, so you know, I didn't do it alone. I just decided to credit myself like a white man for a change. I was like, you know.
I love it. Well, why don't we talk a little bit? Let's get caught up for those that haven't been keeping close tabs on what you've been doing for the last 7 years. There was a pandemic in there, but
I got the COVID several times,
yep.
as we all did.
Mm-hmm. So what else? There was musical writing. I think the last time we actually talked at Newport 2 years ago, you weren't really allowed to talk about that.
I'm allowed to talk about it now. I've been given the go-ahead to say stuff about it.
Okay.
I can't give away any spoilers or anything,
but you can tell us
I know
what
you
it
wouldn't
is.
ask for that.
No, why would I do that?
You're not a ruiner.
No, never. Where did that start? Was that the first thing or was the memoir? Like, can we put all this in a...
I think
yeah.
I was asked to do the musical, I think in 2016, like right around touring with Case Lang Beers. And so I've been working on that since then.
Wow.
So it's like 9, almost 10 years now, which apparently is a very normal time frame for a musical to be made and make it to a stage. So I can definitely say I still hardly know anything about Broadway, even though I've been working on a musical for a long time.
And we can say what the musical is now.
It's Thelma Louise, yes, it is.
So awesome.
Which is very exciting for me. I don't think I would have said yes to something so above my pay grade if it wasn't Thelma and Louise.
So I don't want to get too distracted because we have a lot to talk about with this new record, but sum it up. Like, what has that journey been like?
Well, most of it was done in the last 3 years, but there's been a lot of writing and working on it since, before that too. But it's so nice to have finally made something again. That is the thing that I do full time, like my actual job. The other things are kind of exciting side trips down other rivers, kind of like the beginning of Land of the Lost, where they go over in the raft and they end up in Dinosaur World.
So the other things being the Substack and writing your memoir?
Yeah, and the musical.
And the musical, right.
And the new Pornographers as well. Like, there's been touring. They put out a new record. We put out a new record. I don't know why I say they. I think it's because when people interview me, they say they a lot. But yeah, so there's a lot that goes on.
So when did the writing of this record come and how long did that process take with all of this other stuff going on?
I guess my last record came out like 7 years ago, so probably about that long.
So you've been like
I don't even know if I'm getting that right.
Right.
It
So
might be 8 years. I don't even know.
Yeah. So the songs have been kind of accumulating over that time.
Yeah.
It's not like you were like, okay, time to write a record, and you sat down and wrote a record.
It's been a constant, you get one thing going and you put it in your envelope and then you just keep padding the envelope out and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have enough.
Yes. So which song would you say, if you can even remember now, was there a first song, an oldest song on the album?
Oh, it's a really good question. I don't actually. To me, the first song on the record was Destination. That's the one that really kicked me into high gear of like, it's time now. It's time to make this now.
What about it had that effect on you?
I think I wrote it about 2 years ago and it just seemed really immediate and it got out a lot of what I was trying to say. And I finally figured out how to say something, or I don't know. And it kind of made me realize that a lot of the songs that I had been working on were tributes to music and musicians. And so that one seems very like the chapter 1 sort of thing.
Destination, that opens up the brand new Neko Case album, her 9th studio release, Neon Gray, Midnight Green, her first in 7 years. We have Neko Case in the SHEROES spotlight, and I'm Carmel Holt. So once you decided that you were going to take this grouping of songs and record them, what happened next? Like, how did you assemble everyone? Where did you assemble everyone?
Well, I have a studio and I really wanted to record it here. So Jeff and I did some upgrading and built out a few things. And I called the True Blue team and then some new guests for the record. And so we recorded, I think, in 3 different batches, because I'm not good at doing a record in 2 weeks. I just can't do that. I don't have that kind of attention span. And I don't, like, I can't hear myself after a while. Like, I need the deck to be clear. I need to be rested and I need to be able to properly focus. So I had to take breaks in between. And we worked really hard when we were in the studio. So it was good to take little breaks. And then once we had the bed tracks for everything, I was able to go to Colorado to meet up with Tom Hagerman, who did the orchestration charts, and see the orchestra perform the songs, which was a little bit like hearing one of your own songs as though you'd never written it, as though it wasn't yours.
Yeah.
And there's something really satisfying about something being really moving. And then you go, oh, yeah, that's in my song. But, the part that is other and a different kind of mirror is Tom's writing in there too. So it was really heavy. There was a lot of crying and a lot of, thank you guys so much. Oh my God. There was a lot of snotty nose kind of weeping on my part.
Was that the first time that you'd worked with an orchestra that way?
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with people who play, different instruments, but I'd never had a full orchestra. And it wasn't a full orchestra. It was like a half orchestra.
Right.
And, we overdubbed them a couple times. But it was even just with, the half orchestra, it was so overwhelming and moving that I was rendered useless, but very grateful.
I highly doubt that.
Grateful and useless. I was like a newborn puppy on the floor just trying to crawl.
Oh my God.
With my tiny little needle nails.
So who were some of the other new additions to the Neko band and making the sonic landscape happen?
Well, Tom Hagerman was new, and Anna Butters came and played some incredible bass. My friend Mark Cisneros played some guitar, and other than that, it's kind of usual suspects.
Right. And you and Paul Rigby worked together on a lot of these songs. He's such a old friend and old collaborator. Why do you think that relationship works so well? Because
Paul loves when somebody asks him, okay, we have two impossible melodies that can't go together. So I want to stick them together. So Paul, play me every single note that can go in between these two parts. And there's just this super nerdy jazz school brain of his that just latches onto that. And he loves figuring those weird algebra problems out.
Can you give us an example? Maybe we should play something here.
I know we worked a lot on Baby I'm Not a Werewolf that way because I wrote way too much for that song and I ended up just having to edit a lot of it down because there was so much of it. And I like to change time signatures. I like to change keys. And he's the guy who's so excited to do things like that because they're hard.
Yeah. Well, do you want to set this song up before we hear a little bit of it?
Well, this song was kind of about, going through a second adolescence with menopause where there's a lot of time where you're just a liquid inside your own body and you don't recognize any of your internal markers and you feel pretty nuts. And sometimes you have to, set yourself up to remember who you are because it's really a wild ride. And I had this ring that is a little bear's head. And I thought, who better to remind me of the fact that I'm not a werewolf than a bear? Because I think a werewolf would respect a bear's authority. So I would look at my ring and go, okay, you're fine. You're fine. But it's also menopause has nothing but really negative connotations around it. It's supposed to be when we shrivel up and are no longer fertile, which I had never had any interest in being anyway. So I got to see it from another perspective because I've never cared about giving birth and I've never wanted to. So it was more of an exploration of all the subterranean caverns. It's like you have to go deep into the bowels of the monster and you spend a lot of time there. And it was fascinating and terrifying. And it's the hero's journey.
Or the SHEROES journey.
And the SHEROES journey in a Joseph Campbell kind of way.
Yeah.
I want it to have heroic status as it should, because it's this great sort of crucible where you burn off all the shit you don't need and then you come out the other side way more yourself in a really great way and more ferocious if you're ferocious. So that's kind of where I was at with Baby I'm Not a Werewolf. The long and short of it is.
Baby, I'm Not a Werewolf, which lands almost at the tail end. I guess it's called the penultimate track. Am I getting that right? The penultimate track?
I have no idea.
I think so. I'm going to use that fancy word.
I trust you.
It feels good to say.
I would not trust me, but I trust you that it is the penultimate.
The penultimate track. It sounds
It's the 11th hour.
It's the 11th
if we were
hour.
talking about a music, or it's the 11th hour. No.
Neko Case is here with us on SHEROES, and the new album is called Neon Gray, Midnight Green. And the album kind of starts with period blood, I think, and then ends with menopause. Was that intentional or no?
No, but that's one of those things you learn about yourself when you make a record. Like, oh, okay.
Like, holy shit, I did that.
I did that.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to. You're the clever one for figuring it out.
Points for me. What did you learn from doing the memoir and doing the musical? And maybe it's too much for me to put the two of those in one question, but I was thinking about like the timeline of those three things, the trifecta of the new album, the musical, and writing your memoir. And I wondered, okay, so like this had to at some point shift something, maybe in how you approach or how you thought about your songwriting. Anything shift? Anything change?
I think the musical probably shifted it way more than the memoir did. Like the memoir, there's only one song on the record that is probably related to the memoir, but the song An Ice Age was written separately, so it wasn't supposed to be part of that. But if there was a song related in a way, it would be that one. But everything else is kind of its own thing. The musical just, you build and rebuild and tear down so much that it made me really feel a lot more confident in that it was going to end up okay.
Right.
Because I used to write songs in a way that I could write lyrics all day long, but I wasn't great at melody, I thought. So I thought, well, I just have to get it down and then it'll be a song when it finally sounds like a song. And I was not really afraid of that anymore. I just figured that I needed to stop thinking that it would just dry up one day and it's going to be all right and you can change it and come back and change it again and it'll still be okay. So there was a lot less terror, I think.
And how about in terms of how you would structure a song, or even the fact that you brought in an orchestra, like the drama, that is present in the record? Do you think any of that?
I wanted the orchestra for a long time, like several records ago. So that wasn't from the Broadway experience. And even with Thelma Louise, we've only just heard the music in Thelma Louise with a larger group of musicians. Wow. We only ever had two going at once at a time.
Wow.
Actually, at one point there was three. So we had never heard it until back in June, I think. Mm-hmm. So it was mostly structure that I played with before in the musical. And I did play with structure a bit. And I don't know, they're both so different.
Yeah.
They're so different because every song is juried by four people. Every line, everything in the musical is juried by other people. And it takes a lot of the heavy lifting out. It's like you're pulling your own harrow through the field, like you're wearing the harness and you're doing it when you're making your own record. And then when you go to Broadway, it's like you're riding in like a Cadillac hovercraft because, you do have to kill your darlings and you do have to give up on things that you think are really good because everybody else doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But I find that I really trust them, so it doesn't hurt.
Right.
And if I really go to the mat for something, they respect that. And I've never really missed anything horribly that we got rid of. But I always thought I was so picky and took so much time with my own songs. And then after working on the musical, I realized I kind of don't. Maybe compared to some people I do, but it felt good to be a little freer with it in the recording.
That's amazing. I'd be curious to talk to some of your old collaborators too, to get their kind of perspective on that, having watched you evolve over all of these years, especially somebody like John Convertino, who you have such a long history with of Calexico.
Yeah.
That's so
He's
sweet.
On this record too.
It's so sweet. I love that.
I love him so much.
Yeah.
He's like the singer's best friend.
Yeah.
Like his drumming is so facilitating
yeah.
and open and beautiful. And he's the expressions are just the most beautiful gestures, and I can't get enough.
Maybe we should play something that John was on.
Well, I mean, half the songs were played on by Kyle, and half the songs were played on
By John.
By John.
Yeah.
And I don't want to screw those up because I'm so far from the stage where we did bed tracks. Like, I'm terrified that I will get it wrong.
What about Louise?
Sure. Play Louise.
Sure.
Why not? Roll it out.
How about it? We have Neko Case with us on SHEROES, and the new album is her 9th studio release, Neon Gray, Midnight Green. I'm Carmel Holt. So we were talking about the making of the record and how this all intersected with all the various things that you've had your hands in over the last 7 years, the writing of the musical, your memoir, your Substack, writing these songs. And I found a cool kind of bookend of the album with Destination having period blood in it and the menopause at the end. And you started to talk about...
Nice work, Carmel.
Well,
nice
thank you.
work.
Thank you. I'm not trying to congratulate myself, but I was just thinking about...
I'm congratulating
thank
you.
But I was just thinking about how it feels like this record has more femininity and the experience of being a woman, like... addressing that more directly and, not even like the traditional definition of being a woman.
Yes, but I'm usually talking about other people, unless I'm talking about myself in a way that I didn't notice, which is, usually the case.
Yeah.
I think I've always been kind of in the middle. Like, I'm a gender fluid person. I don't feel like a woman or a man, but I go by she. I don't care. And I don't know. When I wonder where I am on the map of the world, I'm more of a soul than a gendered thing. But I'm also super, conditioned to, my language is gendered by very nature of it being English, So I do think about those things really hard, though. So like whenever gender is brought up or mentioned, I definitely think about it really hard. I think in Neon Gray, Midnight Green, I think that I refer to myself as a woman because it'll be that much more satisfying to me when whoever it is who dies at my hands knows that a woman is doing it. And when I say, who am I that I don't die when you kill me? Like, you better know it's somebody who you decided was a woman because I will not die.
Have you thought about the fact that this is your first outing and going out on tour as you crossed over the next decade?
No, I haven't thought about that. The halfway point, you mean?
Yeah. Like you were
coming into the halfway point.
You're at the halfway point, yo.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 110,
Yep.
so I'm halfway right now.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't thought about that. It doesn't seem unusual, though. It seems normal. But I mean, if you had asked me when I was 21, like what I thought I would be doing when I was 55, I would not have had any idea that I would feel like I was 19 still.
Right.
And it's almost like you get to be 19, but you get to be way smarter, which is really nice. So that's a good thing. I'm more galvanized.
Yeah, for sure. We talk about ageism on SHEROES a lot because women are like particularly subject to ageism. And so I actually just wrapped production on a Mary Chapin Carpenter episode. And we talked about that a lot, because she's like approaching 70 now. And actually a journalist asked her why she's still doing this. Like,
are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not fucking kidding you. And that's not the first time. And that's not the first time that I've heard that. Like Shirley Manson wrote a song about it on the new Garbage record that says, you say that I should like retire,
That's gross.
It is gross. It is
I'm
gross.
Sorry, Shirley. I'm sorry, Mary Chapin Carpenter.
They deserve better. They deserve better.
Yeah, like when Jason and the Argonauts do it, it's a fucking hero's journey. And when we do it, we're just like putting our winding sheet on and hopping over to our casket.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So it
doesn't feel like that at all.
Yeah. So I just was wondering, like, if you had any thoughts about that, in this new decade that you're in, or if you're just like, I haven't thought about it, just like you said, which is awesome.
Well, I think about, stuff like if my knee hurts
Right.
for a long time, I'll be like, I really should probably get that x-rayed because I don't know what that means.
Right.
But nobody has said anything like, so you're in your 50s now, why are you doing this? I don't think they would fucking dare say that to me.
You're too scary.
I hope so. I hope nobody would fucking even think about it.
Yeah.
If they did, they'd be German and I would just think it was funny.
Yeah.
They'd go, so you are old now. Why are you doing this? Why are you still doing this? You are old. You must be cute to rock and roll and you cannot now.
You're still really cute, though.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But if somebody were to ask you that, what would your answer be?
It's the same desire.
Yeah.
It's always been. Like the desire has never faded. It's like you don't get to the edge of the parking lot and there's suddenly those spikes that come up if you're not supposed to exit the parking lot that way. Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And, I love living in the era where bands can still play in their 80s. I think that's great.
It is great.
And, the Rolling Stones, for good or bad, they still pack places. I mean, I applaud.
What have you seen change for women since you started?
Everything and nothing. We are everywhere now, and still people don't get it. And sometimes there's backlash to the point of, the current state of country music, or where you're not allowed to play more than one woman an hour on the radio because people's heads would just fly open and their brains and tongues would just fall out right in the steering wheel of their trucks, and there would be havoc. And we live in, I feel slightly validated and it's sick, but I've been saying for a long time, people hate women. They hate them. They're taught to hate them, so they hate them. And now that we're in an incredibly outwardly, violently misogynist period, or at least to the people, I guess, who just thought I was making up a story, like when it's dawning on them now, I don't respect them for it. I don't have empathy for how long it took for them to realize that it was true. The fact that they couldn't believe us was too much to bear.
Now it's unavoidable.
Now it's unavoidable and they can enjoy it.
Although there are some that would say that like in music, like you said, women are everywhere and we're dominating. But that's not
we are. But the music industry is pretending we're not.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's this weird, I don't know. It's like we're ghosts and no one can see us, but we're running the show.
Yeah.
I've been doing press for this record for about a month now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've talked to maybe 2 journalists who were men. And I was kind of wondering where did all the guys go? Where are they at? But, I was also so excited to see that the majority of people writing about music were women. And I was very excited by that. And, the men were great too. They did a great job. Yeah. So, but we are literally everywhere. I remember, being in a studio in Sweden making my last record, and there was a bunch of engineers who were women in the studio next door. And I went in there for some reason and was introduced to them. And I was like, you guys don't, it's so exciting to see you here engineering.
Yeah.
Because I'm older and there didn't used to be women and they're just like, yeah, don't cry, lady. Okay, whatever. They get to take it for granted.
Yeah.
And that's what I love.
Yeah.
I love that they get to take it for granted. And I don't even mind seeming like a crazy person. But I want to make sure that they do that, but they also know that they were not there earlier.
And you did say, very pointedly in your press release about this record, there are so few producers who are women, non-binary, or trans that people don't think of us as an option. And I'm proud to have produced this record. It's my vision. It's my veto power. It is my taste. And I was like, fuck yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that out loud,
Well, thanks. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I don't think people are out there against us, but the percentage is so small.
It is.
And, I don't think of women when I think of producers. And that's bad.
Yeah.
When you yourself, a producer, does not think of other women, non-binary, trans people as producers, like there's a problem.
Yeah.
And, I don't think men are standing in our way or anything. I think it's just, there were, but the men who are dead who stood in our way did such a good job that we're just kind of catching up now to try to bust through this thing.
Right. Can we talk about the song Tomboy Gold?
Well, the song Destination is about other people from my perspective. And then Tomboy Gold is the shadow of that song. And it is from the perspective of the people being sung about in a way. So they're a couple. They're one unit. So they had to be together on the record.
That's Tomboy Gold from the new Neko Case album, Neon Gray, Midnight Green, her 9th studio album. I'm Carmel Holt, and she's here with us on SHEROES. So you're talking about how the first song and the second song kind of go together as a pair. You talked a little bit about the overall theme of this being like a collection of love songs or songs to musicians and to music.
Yeah, that song in particular is kind of a shout out to the women I would see coming up in music out there, especially the gay women. They had a very distinct swagger that gave me whiplash. And I didn't understand why it was so compelling. I was like, there's just something about them. And it wasn't, some sexist stereotypical notion about swagger. It was a very different kind of swagger. And there's something about the women I met who, I think you and I have talked about this personally before too. I feel like women who didn't grow up caring about the male gaze or caring what men thought of them or what their measure was in the eyes of men have a more confident, capable air about them. And I want that for everyone. And I just craved that feeling because I wasted so much time, thinking about that. I was programmed to think about it. I was raised to think about it and not raised to think about it. It's just so poison in the water everywhere. And, it's not even a thing men are actually doing to you. It's just this notion that is planted. And so you do it for them, even though they're not wanting you to do it. I remember I knew so many awesome men growing up who, you'd be talking about yourself like, oh, I'm getting fat or I don't look. They were like, what are you talking about?
Right.
We don't care about that.
Right.
I had so many men say, we don't even care about that. And I'd be like, oh, it's like they'd say it to my face and I couldn't believe it.
Right, right.
And, but there was something so singular of purpose and so forceful and formidable and so tender about the way those people that I looked up to would move through the world. And they helped me see myself better, and they helped me know that there was something else out there and that women weren't this little thin, sliver of what the definition of us are. Because I'm not like that at all. I'm a pretty ferocious person. But, when you're trained to believe one thing, it's hard to put it down. And, it never went well. Any of that stuff that I thought, trying to fit into it, it was always really embarrassing and weird. So, now that stuff is funny, but I do get kind of melancholy when I think about how much time I wasted worrying about it and how much of myself I didn't let out.
Man, do I relate to that so much.
Yeah, right?
Yep. Super relatable. When I heard that song, it reminded me of Ani DeFranco, who is kind of fresh on my mind because I just saw her recently perform. She's so good. So good.
She really is. I had a couple friends go see her the other night too, and they were freaking.
Yeah. And it was just queer women everywhere. You don't really, there's very few spaces where you get, in a concert setting, get to feel that. With as far as intergenerational, multi-generational, there's plenty of new young queer artists that I'm so excited to see. but like that kind of more old school, like in the Indigo Girls way, It was
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm touring with Case Lang Beers too, like Katie Lang's fans.
Yes.
Unbelievably supportive, like in a way that was, you could cut it with a knife. Like I remember we did our first show, I think was in San Diego, and it was like right after the shooting in the Pulse nightclub. And we were all just so down and a little freaked out, about being on a big stage in front of people. And I swear to God, those lesbians crowded in like a giant puffy vest.
Yeah.
And just kept us warm.
Yeah.
And it was nothing but joy, no fear. And I was like, okay, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just remember being so overwhelmed by that evening. And just like, I remember feeling that way at the Indigo Girls shows too. Like, I remember the first time I sang with them, it was the first time I ever saw them too. I was with Hogan, and, we went out and sang with them. But beforehand, I think Michelle Malone was opening up, and everybody in the audience was paying attention to Michelle Malone. And like, of course they should, obviously. But, it wasn't something that I witnessed much. People being really into the opener in a way where they cared about how the opener felt. Like she would finish song and they'd be like, "You're doing a great job up there." Just like, it was like the biggest group of like sweet cheerleaders ever. And I was like, this is the fan base that I want. I want to make people that are this kind happy.
Yeah.
Just like these people make them happy. And it was a really eye-opening thing. Like, wow, you don't have to be afraid of your audience. And you really got to work at not being afraid of your audience, because, man, they're there and they suspended their disbelief and they're so ready to complete the circuit with you.
Totally. I love that story so much. And I was just thinking about your own relationship to your audience. And also it occurred to me that you just shared so much of yourself in your memoir. And this is the first time that you're going out in front of your fan base after revealing so much about yourself and telling your story, in that way. And how does that feel to you?
That feels normal. I mean, I'm a chronic oversharer. So, and I'm never like a character of myself on stage. I just can't pull that stuff off. So, all my friends know the stories that are in the book. It's just not ever something that I would have trusted a journalist with.
Right.
Not that journalists aren't great. It's just, I just was like, maybe that's a little personal. Maybe I should hold some things back.
Right.
Just to not be insane. But, it seemed appropriate to tell those stories now. And so the fact that those stories are known, it doesn't bother me. I think people probably already felt those stories, even if they didn't know them.
Right.
In a sentence structure, Yeah, it's a book is very different. Like you do the tour and it's kind of short, but then there's nothing, just silence.
Yeah.
So, it's not like a record where you're working on it for years after it's done. It's very final. I mean, it's not, but that's my experience of it so far. So, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just like, okay, you've done your work on this. We've got it from here. And I'm such a control freak in my own thing that I'm like, you don't need me to clean the bathrooms or make any chicken satay at the office party or anything. Okay. Guess I'm out of here.
What are you looking forward to in this next chapter when the record comes out?
Eating lots of food
that
I don't have where I live, and seeing friends who I haven't seen in forever, and just playing shows. I miss playing shows. I mean, I haven't been like a tour hermit where I don't tour, but, I've been kind of going through my back catalog a lot for the last few years, since the Truck Driver Gladiator Mule thing came out and since the Wild Creatures compilation came out. And so having new songs feels really, it's just at the right time so that I don't get so completely sick of myself that I'm like, I don't ever want to go on tour again. And it just happens to you. It's not because you don't like your own songs or anything. It's just, I'm a person who doesn't love a huge amount of repetition. At a certain point, it feels a little insincere.
Right.
So I tend to not do things too much if I can help it.
So who's out on the road with you?
Well, Paul Rigby will be there.
Nice.
Nora O'Connor. My friend Andrew McKeag will be playing bass. And Kyle Crane will be playing drums. And Adam Schatz will be playing keys and
Love that guy.
saxophonist. I know, I do too. And they're all such lovely people to tour with. And so I'm just so excited for the camaraderie and the giggling on the bus and eating cheese and crackers and, just that traveling with your family in your giant RV
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, totally. Well, we have time for a final exercise, the SHEROES Magic Wand. You ready to make a wish?
The SMW?
Yes. Ooh, nice. Okay. The SMW. You ready for the SMW?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I'm going to hand you the SHEROES Magic Wand. Eventually, I'll need a real wand, but here you go.
Got it? It's tiny, but it's very powerful.
It's very powerful. It might actually be a little heavier than you imagine because it holds the power to change anything in the music industry for women, for non-binary, queer, BIPOC folks, anyone whose voice is not equally heard. First wave of the wand, it's kind of like a first thought, best thought thing. What would you change, Neko Case?
I just erase the country music institution off the face of the earth.
Nice.
The gatekeepers.
Okay.
They're gone.
Okay.
You make that country music, ladies. Get out there. All you theys and thems and everybody, please. We need new stories. We need you. And you should get to write your own story.
May it be so.
May it be so.
Neko, thank you for being with us on SHEROES. How should we go out today?
Thank you for having me.
What song should we close
Always
with?
an honor. What song?
Yeah. Should we close with the title track, Rusty Mountain, maybe?
I like the title track better than I like Rusty Mountain because it was such a great excuse to play baritone guitar, which is just my favorite sound. But if you prefer a Rusty Mountain.
No, I
can.
Listen, they're all my favorite.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That means a lot coming from you.
It's true. It's just true.
You're a good one.
I wouldn't blow smoke.
Thank you. You ain't no smoke blower.
I ain't no smoke blower.
Nobody says that about Carmel Holt. She ain't no smoke blower.
Can you tell us anything about this song before we go into it?
It's just womankind's revenge.
Perfect way to end. Love it.
Just lick the knife you're cutting the meat with. Just go ahead and do it.
But thanks once again to Neko Case. Thank you for being with us on SHEROES.
Thank you for having me, Carmel. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Massive thanks once again to my Shero, Neko Case, for being with us. Neon Gray Midnight Green is out now on Anti Records. Catch Neko out on tour this fall. Go to nekocase.com for all the details. SHEROES is produced by me, is mixed and mastered by Kelly Drake. Our original theme music is by Lucius. Our podcast is distributed by Talkhouse. SHEROES is also a nationally syndicated radio show. Please visit sheroesradio.com to find out more. Keep in touch on Instagram at SHEROES Radio. And please consider leaving us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also subscribe to our new YouTube channel, SHEROES Productions. SHEROES is 100% independent and is made possible through the support of our public radio affiliates and now listeners like you. We've launched our very first fundraising campaign. Text SHEROES to 53555. That's SHEROES to 53555 to make a tax-deductible donation through AIR, which is our nonprofit partner, or visit sheroesradio.com. Thank you for supporting independent, femme, and queer-produced audio and storytelling. And until next time, remember, music is our superpower. I'm Carmel Holt. Thanks for listening. Also from SHEROES Productions, take a journey on the road to Joni, an Ambie Award-nominated 10-episode series celebrating the legacy and impact of Joni Mitchell. Distributed by Talkhouse. Subscribe now to The Road to Joni wherever you get your podcasts.